So, welcome back to a brand new podcast episode of Family Seasons by Coach Teia. As always, it is my joy and privilege to bring you topics that, I have witnessed, that I've seen, I've experienced as a family life coach for over 15 plus years, someone who has studied, psychology and mental health and family psychology. As a Christian family life coach, one of the things that I focus so much on is helping families learn to communicate more effectively. And so when I think about helping families, communicate, I always try and find topics that I know are issues with a lot of families. I pray about the topics to present on this podcast. I try to select guests and co-host and what have you that have the same mindset of just wanting to see families win. And so in this particular podcast today, the topic is something that I found this topic. I saw this topic on Instagram the other day, and it was posted by a bishop that I follow on as I said, on Instagram, Bishop Blake. And he was talking about the different types of men. And he basically was talking to the ladies. And he was talking about, the three different types of men. And as I listened to, the bishop talk, and I heard it several times, I kept listening to it. I sent it to a few people. And, this topic really resonated with me because I started thinking outside of just, the men. And I thought about just people in general, where, if we were to compartmentalize both men and women, then I see these same three divisions. I see these same separations. And so the first one that he talked about were healthy men. And then he talked about the broken man. And the third was a toxic. And his message, and actually, if you want to go and hear exactly what he said, you can all go on RC. I believe it's RC Blake's on Instagram. But nevertheless, just to kind of sum it all up, he was saying that with a healthy man is one that's going to support you. He is going to have your back. He's going to find ways of always just being a resource and really just helping support your purpose and your mission. Why? Because he's walking in his. And we know that when people are healthy and walking in their purpose, that for the most part, they are going to, be just as supportive with helping those that are around them. And as I mentioned, I don't want to just section off just to men. I want to actually just bring this, this topic when we're talking about people. We have healthy people. We have those that are broken, and then we have those that are toxic. When we're talking about families, in relationship to families, as I said, as a family life coach, as a Christian family life coach, I always go back to what the Word of God says. And I think about how God really ordained us as human beings to win and to rule and to reign, and to not allow things or circumstances to rob us of the joy that He has placed on the inside of us, or the joy or the opportunity to have that joy and peace that, it basically just surpasses all types of understanding. And so when I look at the healthy individual, so, to go back on what Bishop Blake was saying, a healthy person, and you can, as I said, look at this if you're talking about families, and I'm specifically talking about families now. When we look at family members, let's look at healthy. When we're talking about healthy men and women, healthy parents, healthy adults, healthy people. When people are healthy, that means that, as I said, they are supportive of you. They want to see you be good. They want to see you be okay. They want to see you win. When they say that they have your back, they really do. When they say that they are there to support you, they really do. I mean, they really give it all that they have. And that's because, and this is based upon experience in my own life and research and, just other things, but they're really supportive of you because they are basically living that same life. They are walking in their purpose. It's not to say that, and I'm not saying that any of these people are perfect or anything like that, because we all have our flaws, but with a healthy individual, they know who they are. And as a result of them knowing who they are, they're not they don't have issues with other people. They're not convicted of other people, living out their purpose or whatever the case is. They are okay. They're good. They're well. They want to see people well. They want to see people around them doing good. They don't want to be just the one that always have it. They don't want to just be the know-it-all, but they want to be one that can share their gifts, their talents. They share what they are, who they are. They share what they have. They share their resources. Just an all-around really great person that, and here's the key, it's not to say that they have not been broken, because what I believe is that we all, as people, as adults, we all have experienced some form of brokenness. That's just who we are. That's just how life is. And so no one escapes the brokenness in life. But the difference in the broken, which is the stage 2, but the difference in the broken and the healthy is that they use that brokenness to make them stronger, or they realize that at some point I cannot keep in this same place. I have to change. Things have to get better. I think about in my own life. I have been broken. I've been in, bad relationships. I've been in, situations where I thought it was just going to be eternal, and it was not like that. I've met people that walked into my life and promised that they were going to do all these wonderful things and be this and be that, and it didn't work out like that. And so it causes brokenness, because when you get disappointed of people, and I know, we can easily say, well, you shouldn't trust people, and that's true. But as human beings, it's natural for us to have a level of trust for one another. It's natural for us to have some form of trust in one another. Now, I put all of my trust in God. And so, that goes without saying, but we have natural and human contact with one another. So we are going to develop at some point a level of trust, because if you don't trust anyone, then that says a lot about yourself. But nevertheless, when you talk about somebody that's healthy, it's like I say, it's not that that person is perfect, but it's just that person is saying that I have experienced some stuff. And what I've learned is that I've allowed my brokenness, I've allowed my experiences to make me stronger. I am using my experiences to be a better person. Maybe they didn't grow up without a certain thing, but because they did not have that, they turned that thing around and became the best at it. So maybe they didn't grow up with a dad in their life, but as a man, they are the best of fathers. Why? Not necessarily because they saw it, but they experienced something that they didn't want their child today to experience. And so as a result, they decided that they were going to take that brokenness and use it for their good. That's the same thing when we talk about just going through different experiences in life and giving up, and or making a decision that we're not going to move forward because of our brokenness. At some point, and I realize there's a grieving process, and there's a process of healing, and there's a lot of things that goes on, in that broken time, that time of feeling broken. But also you have to realize that at some point, you want things to get better. After you've cried for a while, the healthy mindset, the healthy person says, okay, I've cried long enough about this situation, but I'm not going to allow this thing to take me out of here. I have cried long enough. I have experienced, this stuff or this low place, or I've experienced this long enough, and I'm ready to move forward. Now, does that mean that it happened overnight and it happened instantly? No, it took time. And that's a key thing, I think, with healthy people. When you're talking about change, it's something that a healthy person works on themselves daily. I know for myself, I daily work on me. I'm daily before God, asking him to show me, what's going on in my life, to show me who I am, to show me what my shortcomings are, to show me, areas that I need to improve in. There are times when I'll say a certain thing and immediately God will convict me and say, you should not have said that, or you try saying it this way or doing something else. But I daily work on me before I can get out and help any family or help anyone with different issues. I want to make sure that my life, not that it's perfect, but I want to be a person of integrity, so that who I am or what I say is the life that I live. I know when you're talking about, once again, you're talking about someone that is of the healthy mindset. that person is supportive. They want to see others around them win. They want to see other people doing well. They're just supportive. It just naturally comes when you come up with a thought or an idea. They are right there to support. I can think of a friend that I had a few years ago, well, over 12 years ago. And one thing about this friend, I mean, when I tell you that he was one of those, just a very supportive person, he was indeed, because I would always laugh and tell him, I don't care if I told you that I wanted to sell rocks. You're so supportive of who I am that you would go out and find me someone who's actually, some type of a rock distributor or something. And we would always joke about that. But that's just generally who he was and the person that he was, just a very healthy person. And why, as I think about it, he was he had been through some brokenness. He had been through some broken places, different things that he experienced in his own life. However, he was also at a more healthier, well-rounded place because he was in his career, he was doing well. And, he had already, made up his mind that he was not going to allow his past or his past experiences to cripple him. And so I just think about the healthy relationships, how we can find people. It's important to find people also that are going to be very supportive. You can't always find that, but at least one. I believe in at least asking God to send you somebody that will be supportive in your life, because a healthy person wants the very, very best for you. And let me tell you, it's not about what they say. It's their actions. Their actions will line up with what they have said. That's someone that really supports you. That's someone that's a very healthy and someone that wants to, see you win, because why? They're winning. Once again, I'm not talking about perfect people, but I'm just talking about situations. If you're in a family right now, if you're dealing with someone right now, you're trying to decide what category does this person fit in? Is it healthy? Is it broken? Or is it toxic? I hope this podcast will, just be able to bless your life to help you make some decisions. Now, as we move from the healthy into the broken, as I mentioned before, we have all been broken. Matter of fact, I'm afraid of people that say they have never experienced anything, because we know that I don't care who you are or what you have accomplished and what you're doing and all these things, you have experienced a time of darkness. You've experienced some shortcomings. Maybe your background is really, looks really dim, and it, it wasn't maybe the healthiest of backgrounds, but nevertheless, you're still in that place. And that's what someone that's broken, as Bishop Blake said, he said that's the person, maybe they grew up without a dad, or maybe they grew up, or maybe they've been hurt by someone, maybe, just so many things could have happened in their life, and you can love them back to a place of health. And now I agree with that to an extent, because what I do also realize is that some people are so broken that they become toxic. And so they fall into that third category, which I'll talk about in a little bit. But when you're talking about someone that's broken, that person will, a lot of times, and I know this as a coach, I get to talk to a lot of people. I talk to plenty of people, and they begin to tell you what their issues are. They tell you, their story. And when they're talking, you feel the brokenness. You can see it. You can see the hurt that's still in their eyes. And there are times when, you can just be having a conversation and they're just screaming out that they want help, that they need somebody to believe in them again. Or maybe they never had that type of love, or maybe they've never been cared for. But you can always tell just based on their conversation. Sometimes they will tell you outright, okay, this is what I've experienced. And I'm still hurting from this. I'm still bleeding from this. I was wounded and I'm still wounded. And, a lot of times with women, I can say that women, a lot of women are naturally nurturers. And so when we hear that coming from a man, for example, if you are a healthy person, you want to immediately go into action to find out, how can I help? That's just naturally how it is. I have experienced that myself also. When you meet people and you find out that people are hurting, I naturally just want to find some kind of way of making things better for them. Why? Because if I know you're hurting, if I know that you're hurting, that you're still hurting, I feel like, it's my obligation as a human to, check on you, or to, be there for you as much as I possibly can. And not being your God, or not being the one that you're just totally dependent upon, not that, but just being, maybe it's a listening ear, or maybe it's just so that you'll have somebody on your team or what have you. But it's so important that when you're dealing with a broken person, to make sure that it's not taking more out of you than you are willing to give, or that you have to give, because dealing with a broken person can take a lot out of you, especially when that person does not want to change, or especially when that person doesn't realize, okay, that maybe there is hope. When you're dealing with someone, and we're talking about adults, when you're dealing with someone that they're so broken until they feel like they are just damaged goods, that's going to be challenging. That's a person, and I can take it from experience, that's a person that you love them, and I don't care how you love them and you show them that agape love, it is still very challenging. While you're doing this, while you're working with somebody, or while you're, trying to love somebody, back to health, if that's what the decision that you make, the thing about it is that I highly recommend that you stay with God, that you continue to pray. And the thing about it, God will show you. He will show you what to do. He'll show you what to say. He'll show you when to let go. He'll show you to keep going. He'll show you to move on. But most importantly, stay with God, because as you are in that person's life and, you're trying to help that person heal, you don't want to risk being wounded yourself. You don't want to risk, because a lot of times they can say very hurtful things. A lot of times they can, keep on. It's a cycle, and they just continue in that cycle. And here you are trying to do all you can to be there for them. And it's still very challenging. It's something that it looks like it's not going anywhere. So I highly recommend that you always stay with God, that you continue to pray for that person. Now, if you are at any time, if that person be or you're or in any type of harm, or when, the person is saying things that are just hurting and breaking you, then I would highly suggest that you back away. And that doesn't mean that you totally step out, but that means that you back away, because you have to protect you. And you have to remember that sometimes broken people that are broken, they can't see past the cloudiness. And so they will say things, maybe it's not intentional, but sometimes they will say things that will hurt you. And as a result of that, now you have the stain of their words implanted in your heart. And it's hard to forget that. So it's so important that, once again, when you're talking about, dealing with someone that's broken, sure, sometimes you can love them back by just showing them that they are loved, helping them find out who they are, helping them find programs that can really be a blessing to them. Why? Because you want to see them well. Now, when we talk about that third category, the toxic category, the toxic category is one that I have actually experienced, that where that person has been broken in such a way that they are now toxic, where everything they say, everything that comes out, everything that they do is just, it's just like throwing darts at you. Or they're hurting you, or they're saying things that are affecting you, or they are in return breaking you down or blaming you, or whatever the case is. But toxic people, I highly suggest that you stay away, because anything that's toxic is deadly. It's poisonous. And when that toxin gets in the inside of you and you're just there to help, it can not only be physically deadly, but mentally, verbally, just so much, because that's where you get a lot of the abusers. And, you find a lot of that going on in those toxic situations. As I said, people can be so broken that they become toxic. So you have to be wise about what you're doing, about the role that you're playing in the lives of these people. Pray about everything. Pray about things always. And if anything on that inside, on your instinct starts kicking in and telling you that, okay, you need to move away, or you need to let go, or you need to, keep going, then do that. Basically, whatever God tells you to do, you do it. But I highly suggest that you stay with God, continue to pray. And if that broken person is coming to you and they genuinely want that help, they genuinely want that support, then be there for that person. Because some people really just need to be loved. They really are afraid to be loved at times. Maybe they have been broken or hurt so many times that they don't know how to love. And that's another thing. There are some adults, I've met adults that genuinely just don't know how to love. They don't know what love feels like. And so it's going to be challenging. Dealing with that person is going to be challenging. But if God has given you that challenge, if you feel like that's something that you are supposed to be doing, then I pray for you. And I pray that you will, gain that strength and keep the momentum going so that you can, just be a blessing in that person's life. However, as I said, if you find yourself giving too much or being torn down or being broken yourself, and now you're depressed and now you're feeling bad, or now you have to wear all the scars that the words have said, then it may be time for you to back away. This might be something that maybe they need to go to actual therapy for, or doctors or what have you, but maybe this is too big for you. Now, nothing is too big for our God. And that's what I love about being a family life coach, because this is what I know. Despite what we've gone through in life, it's hard for me to throw away anybody, because God does not throw us away. And so my thing is that I'm going to pray for you. Even if you are toxic, I've been in toxic relationships with toxic people. And after I got out, I was able to pray for that person and pray that God would touch and heal their mind and their heart so that they could live, on the other side of the brokenness, they could live on the other side of the bondage. But it starts with people taking the initiative to say, I can't live here anymore. I hope that these 3 categories that have been discussed tonight in this podcast, I hope and pray that if this resonates with you in any way, listen to it over and over. Get your Bible out. Find out what the Word of God says. If you're a married woman and you're dealing with a toxic man, pray and ask God what He wants you to do. If you are a man, if you've met a woman that's broken, before you walk away from her, pray about it and see what God is telling you. If you are in a position to, you're a healthy person, like I said, you've been broken, but you have used that brokenness to strengthen you and to help you help others, I challenge you to find someone, to reach out to someone that might be hurting, just to give them a word of encouragement. Maybe it's a text, maybe it's an email, maybe it's something that you can help them with. Maybe it's something that you can, it's a resource that you can help them find, but, make yourself available in that area. I just want, as I said, as a family, as a coach that works with families, I know without a doubt that God wants our families to win. He wants us to be okay. He wants us to live the abundant life and to not be, just downtrodden, and not to be in such a negative place that we can't see our way out. Right now, I just want to pray for families. I want to pray for those who are listening. I want to pray for those who are hurting, who are broken. And I want to pray for those who are, maybe you're in the fight. Maybe you're in this thing and you don't know whether you should let go or not. You don't know what you should do. But I want to pray for you tonight. I want to pray for you that you will get an answer. Dear God, I just thank you right now for the listeners. I thank you for the word that Bishop Blake shared on Instagram, and that has given me just the desire to want to share more about this topic. I pray, God, for those that are listening. I pray for those that are, they're asking questions, and what should I do? God, I don't have the answer, but I know that you do. And I pray, Lord, that you would speak to the hearts of your people, that you would show us what to do, that you would give us a heart of love. Give us a spirit of wanting to help those that are so hurt right now, those that are broken. Lord, let us know when to stay, and Lord, let us know when to walk away. Lord, give us what we need in order so that we may continue to build your kingdom, and so that we may continue to reach the masses, so that we may continue to be a blessing to the world. For those of us that have used our brokenness to be strengthened, to turn around and be a blessing to this world, God, give us what we need. Keep us strengthened, God. Keep us so that we may continue to do your work and do your will. God, I pray for families right now that are going through so much. We're still in the midst of a pandemic. And, unfortunately, domestic violence is at an all-time high. Child abuse is at an all-time high. And that is being caused by broken, toxic people. That's being, done by people, unfortunately, that are just toxic. And so, God, I'm praying for those families right now. You know who they are. Someone is listening right now. Maybe there's a mom listening right now and you're crying because you can't do this anymore. You made a decision that you can't stay in this unhealthy relationship. Maybe I'm talking to some young man that you've met, a young lady, and you love her so much, but her brokenness, she doesn't see that God has greater for her. I'm praying right now for that situation. And God, I just pray right now that this podcast will be a ministry tool that people will use, that they will come to know who you are, not because of me, but because of you. And for that, I give you all the glory. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. Please reach out to me at CoachTeia.com. I'm also at FamilySeasonsPodcast.com. I want to continue to bring topics that I believe will be a blessing to your life, that will be a great resource and a tool for you. If you have any podcast topics or ideas, email me at info@CoachTeia.com. You can find me on social media. I'm on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. As I said before, my ultimate goal, my desire is to see and to help families win. You deserve to be well. You deserve to be better. If you're broke, right now you're hurting and you just don't know how to communicate with people because you're so broken, may these words be, just a soothing voice, a soothing answer, just something that's going to soothe your soul so that you will begin the work, that you would reach out, that you would go to therapy if you need it, that you would, find people that can help you. But just realize that God wants us to win. Thank you so much. I love you all. Please share. Stay here. I'm going to continue bringing topics. I have great people that are going to be coming on throughout this season. And I'm excited about what God is doing for Family Seasons by Coach Teia. Thank you so much.